I'd never mentioned that there were men as dark as this. Wow, look at that nose. He's just like a pig. He's a monster! Hut!
In today's episode, I'm joined by David Bond, who is a pickup artist that focuses primarily on Asian women, and you're in Thailand right now, so thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, Swadikab. Swadikab is the Thai word for hello.
Okay. So my first question for you is, what made you decide to become a pickup artist and pursue Asian women, and why are you using a GoPro to document your experiences?
Well, so first of all, I do want to put a little slight footnote. I don't really consider myself a pickup artist. I guess technically, hold on, I just realized. So what I would say is that I'm just a regular guy who, in around 2011, 2012, ending in around maybe 2013, I was very obsessed with this idea of what some of the pickup community was teaching guys. Mm-hmm. I was in a long relationship of 6 years with a white girl that I met on MySpace. I lived with her. It was a long relationship. I had gotten pretty fat. And I've always liked Asian girls basically since I even had hormones. I remember having a crush on this Filipino girl in junior high. And so it's never like there wasn't like a moment. It was just like I've always liked that. And I lived in a city that had no Asian chicks. Anyway, so yeah, I was chubby with this girlfriend, didn't do much, and we ended up breaking up. And right before our breakup, I had discovered the pickup community and what their videos were saying. I thought it was kind of cool. So I ended up getting really into it. I started to apply it, which it took me like a year before I even had the courage to even try. And my transformation was really fast. I lost the weight, and I went from doing nothing but playing Quake and playing Xbox and hanging out at the house to like going to LA and meeting girls, and like my lifestyle changed so drastically that it was really like emotionally impactful. I had a little bit of a existential crisis because I had lost this weight. My lifestyle changed so quickly. I, for the first time in my life, started to actually meet Asian girls, which at the time was a big deal for me because there was never anywhere in the city that I'm from. You never see them. They're never anywhere, right? And one thing led to another. I ended up having these thoughts about like, what's the point of my life? And I quit my job with no plan. I just quit my job randomly. And I ended up posting some videos of me with the GoPro because originally I bought a GoPro because I wanted to go to the beach and film myself like in the water. Mm-hmm. This is when the GoPro was like new, 2011, 2012. And I love the head strap. Love the head strap. I thought it was cool. And I remember right when I was kind of getting into like meeting girls, I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, how funny would it be to do an approach with a GoPro on my head? Like, that'd be so fun. So I did it. And I posted it on a pickup forum. It was literally just like one approach. Didn't even go that good. And people in the forum were like, dude, this is hilarious. This is so funny. And I got all these guys telling me how cool it was that I did that. So I wanted to do it again, because you know how it is when you post something cool online and everyone loves it. You're just like, well, shoot, that's cool. It feels good to read cool things about me. Mm-hmm. So the next one I did, I went over the top and I took the GoPro out and I did 8 hours, and I posted a 35-minute clip, 35 minutes of just tons of chicks meeting them and just laughing, and it was just obscene. And that's when I started to get some notoriety in that forum I was in. So that everyone started calling me the GoPro guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I started getting recognized in the street in LA. Mm-hmm. They're like, dude, it's that GoPro guy. Dude, that video is so fucking funny. I can't believe you did that. It was more like a prank. Fast forward a bit. I quit my job, go to Japan. Just because I quit my job, and I kept doing the GoPro thing, but I never ever showed anybody these videos. I would just show my friends in the forum. Mm-hmm. Then this is where everything began. WorldStarHipHop found one of my videos and put it on their front page.
I see.
And that's when people started, that's when I was discovered by the internet. And then Hong Kong found the video, then boom, put it on the news. And within literally 48 hours, I went from just a random kid to, David Bond, the Predator. I don't think of myself as a pickup artist. I just feel like I'm just a guy who likes to meet girls and film it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't claim to be good at pickup. I don't think I have that great game. I don't really like if you actually look at my videos, it's almost never that you'll see me say, all right, guys, I'm going to teach you how to do this pickup thing. I never do that. Yeah. I just kind of share my world. I share my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
So in terms of hitting on Asian women, do you find it to be easier to do so in the East, in countries like in South Korea and Japan? Is it easier in the West, or like in Canada or in America? Like what's your take on that?
So there's a lot of things. That question is not as simple, because to me, I think, people say Asian girls, right? So Asian girls is a spectrum. It goes from, you have like Thai girls in the Philippines, and then you have like Korea and Japan. And I feel like there's a spectrum, and a Korean girl and a Thai girl, I mean, they really couldn't be any different. Like they could not be any different. So I don't even think of them in the same category. Mm. They are technically both Asian girls, but so I could answer your question, but it would have to be a case by case. So for example, Korean girls are, here's an example. Thai girls are generally more friendly. Their English is better. They're not shy about a lot of things. They're open to meeting people of all types, whereas Korean girls are really scared of strangers. They're really shy. They're kind of xenophobic. They're usually kind of racist, to be honest. And foreigners are seen as like lower status, kind of scary. So even though they're both Asian women, like to me, they're so different that I feel like it would be irresponsible for me to even talk about Asian women without addressing the fact that they're so different. But the only thing that's universal amongst Eastern women and Western women is Western women are generally under a culture and a society that has been influenced by Western feminism, which Western feminism is has kind of taught women to look down upon traditional gender roles in terms of like courting. So like, for example, if you were to if in America you were to buy a girl a flower on a first date, like everyone would think that's super dorky and cringy and weird, right? Mm-hmm. But if you were to do something like that in certain parts of the East, they wouldn't think it's, they wouldn't have such a reaction. You know what I mean? Or here in Thailand, like if I ask a girl if she can cook, she'll just answer me. Like she feels like that's a great opportunity to show off that she would be a good girlfriend. Whereas if you were to ask a girl in the West that, some of them might have a reaction like what do you? I ain't making you a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? So now women are women. They're all the same biologically. They have a certain nature to them. But in the West, feminism essentially is teaching women, like, hey, if you want to be more like a man, that's a virtuous thing to do. And hey, men, if you want to be more like a girl, that's a virtuous thing to do too. Like, hey, woman, if you want to be Superwoman and kick ass and have a dick and fucking get a career and be like this independent woman, don't need no man, like all the songs, I could just start singing songs in the West. And also like men, there's if you want to show your emotions and if you want to wear a dress and fucking you know what I'm saying? In the West, our political correctness and our political like attitudes influence dating culture like heavily. Whereas in the East, there's very little. I mean, I don't want to make a factual claim, but in the East, I don't really see that style of feminism ever. You never see a Korean girl marching down the street saying "free the nipple." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't see that.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the story I always like to tell. So last year, I met this really, really sweet girl, And she liked me a lot. She really liked me. I could tell she wanted me to be her boyfriend. So she invited me over to her house. She's like, I want to cook for you. Okay. So I go to her house, and she's like all like motherly. She's like cooking and like looking at me. She cooks for me some food. Okay. So now I'm eating the food, and she's like, do you like it? And I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then she notices that my toenails are kind of long. And she's like, oh, you need to clip your toenails. She's like, can I clip your toenails? And I go, sure, right? Mm-hmm. So here I am. I'm eating this food this girl made for me, and she's clipping my toenails while I'm doing this, okay? Then she is like, filling up my drink, like I'm a cut, like she's a waitress or something. And I finish my food. We kind of cut on the couch, and she gives me like a blowjob, and like feeds me an apple, and like I don't know. It just was so like I felt like, like I was being treated so, like I don't know. It was awesome. Now, well, this is what I like to say. If you were to go in America and you were on a date with a girl and you said, you know what I love when girls do? I love when they make me dinner, clip my toenails, and suck my dick, and then ask me if they did a good job. If you said that on a first date, that girl would fucking video you, put you on BuzzFeed, put you on WorldStar. You'd make articles about you, why you're a misogynist, rapist, man. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, the way a girl would react to that, if you wrote that on a piece of paper, like, you know what? This thing is really cool. Never gonna, she would fucking vomit, right? That sums up the difference of feminism's influence on how women, their attitudes towards that, traditional, because the traditional gender roles are masculine man who provides and feminine girl who takes care, and the traditional like gender roles. Now, I'm not actually advocating that that's good or bad. I'm just saying, you asked me what's the difference. Universally, that's the only real difference that I see every time, right?
Yeah.
But Korea and Thailand are fucking different. Japan, they're all different. They're so different that it's unfair to even box them in the same kind of box.
Okay. But my next question is about race, because you did mention Koreans can be, somewhat racist.
Yeah.
Many people,
and that's not just an opinion. Like, you can go to Korea and literally see signs on the door that say "No niggers." That's a sign I've read. Yeah,
I would like.
That's a sign I've read on a door at a club. No niggers. So that's not like David's opinion. The David Bond controversial thoughts. I've seen it with my eyes. I've seen no Negroes. I've seen Korean only. Like, that's not. I don't know what your opinion is, but signs that say no niggers in my world, a little racist, just a little bit. So,
I'd like to see those photos. Like, honestly, like I know what it's.
I'll pull it up. I will literally pull it up right now.
That's lovely. Like, I know it's bad, but like that is just peachy.
Because people will jump on me for saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
For example, like here's this thing that I say sometimes. The Eastern world is more racist than the Western world. Like, to me, I feel like that's not controversial. But people, they hear me say that, and in their brain, they hear white man talking about my colored people's countries. Like, that's what they hear. But, for example, I've seen people denied entry into venues in Bangkok. The bouncer said no brown people. I was with an Indian dude and a Chinese guy. We went to a go-go bar. I got in, he got in, and then the bouncer put his hand on his chest and said, "Hey, wait, no brown people." You know what I mean? Wow. That happened.
So many people believe that Asian women only go after Asian or white guys with money. Do you believe that this is the case? More importantly, do you think that you'd be as successful as you are if you were going around doing this as a black or Hispanic man?
Okay, so again, I'll answer this question, but again, like, Asian women is a big category, so it's kind of
East Asian men.
Whatever. Even again, that's still a lot of places, but I can answer your question nonetheless. Okay, so this is what I would say. There are some places that all see, I can answer this question, but I feel like for me to answer it accurately, I'm going to have to say a lot. I don't know if that's okay or not.
That's fine.
But the short answer is the money thing is a lot less relevant. Like, I would probably say it's about maybe 70% less relevant than people think. Okay. Now, my evidence for that is I don't have a lot of money. I don't really have any signs of money. I don't wear nice clothes or anything like that. Maybe not, maybe like 1 in 20 girls will even ask me questions about money stuff. I don't know. To me, it's such a weird question. Like it's hard for me to answer it because it's so outside of my belief system that it's like I have to think about how to answer it. It's like saying like, is water wet? It's like, okay, it is. Like, let me try to prove how it wet. Look, the money thing is a lot. The money thing is just not a thing. Okay? I have a lot of friends who are broke as shit, and they do just fine. Girls respond more to behavior, and to humor, and to certain things about you. They respond to that over money stuff. Okay, and I mean, look, I know this because I don't have a lot of money, and I have a lot of girlfriends. I have a lot of girls, and they always, or that I have girlfriends that they tell me about their ex and how their ex would buy all this stuff. Like this girl Nikki, who I'm seeing right now, her ex-boyfriend paid her rent, and okay, all right, man. Sorry, my roommate messaged me.
It's fine.
Her ex-boyfriend, paid her rent and would buy her gifts and stuff like that, and I don't do that at all, right? And her ex-boyfriend wants her back, and she shows me the text of him saying like, "Oh, I miss you," and all this stuff, and it's like, well, why would she pick him? Why would she pick me over him if like money was a big deal, right? The white and Asian thing. So I can't really speak too heavily on the black guy thing because I haven't traveled too much with black guys. But this is when people ask me questions like this is what I like to say. First of all, I can't really speak on behalf of how girls respond to other races, right? So like I can't talk about what it's like to be a black guy. I can't because I'm not a black guy. But if I'm friends with black guys who I've traveled with, and the thing is, when you travel with a group, it's like a scientific experiment because like you get to see your results compared to your buddies, right? So, for example, like there was recently, like last year, I had my friend Chris, who's Chinese. He's a slightly dark Chinese guy. He's shorter than me. And I had Shivank, who is a very tall, who has a dad bod, but he's tall, and he has a really good-looking face. All right, man, see you soon. And he's Indian, okay? So we got tall Indian man, not short, just like a little bit shorter than me, Asian man, and then me. All of us are going on Tinder. All of us are in Bangkok, right? So we can see each other's results on Tinder, and it's like a scientific experiment because we're all living in the same place, right? And so, or also I have a friend named Loy, and Loy kills it. Loy usually gets prettier girls than all of us. He's thin, shorter than us, and he's Asian. He's I don't know what he is. I think he's Korean or something. But he would get hotter girls than all of us. You know what I'm saying? And he isn't rich or anything like that. All of us are not rich. We just had small condos and all that. So it's like, I can talk about what other races, like what they're capable of achieving because I was next to them. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, I haven't really hung out with too many black guys like long enough to really know. Now, do I see a lot of black guys in Asia? I don't really see a lot of black guys in Asia. But I have been to black clubs in Japan. You know what I mean? It's just the black guy thing, I don't really feel comfortable talking about it, to be honest, because I feel like I personally just don't know enough. I haven't, like if I was with a black dude like side by side and we were like going and traveling together, then I could say, dude, no, you guys are crazy. Like as long as you do this and this, I will tell you with Asian versus white that it is true that race matters, but the thing is, it matters in terms of where you go. So like, for example, my buddy Loy, he would go to nightclubs where the girls were really friendly, and then I would go with him and the girls didn't like me. And then he would go to clubs that I liked where the girls were really friendly to me, but then the girls didn't like him. And the reason is it's like, the type of crowd that goes. Right? So like he was going to clubs where he met girls easier. And the reason he was meeting girls easier is because those clubs were more Asian, more like an Asian guy goes to it. And I was going to clubs where a lot of white guys go to it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that what's the difference between Loy and me? Well, not a lot. I mean, he's Asian and I'm not. But what's the difference between Loy and a lot of other Asian guys? Is Loy knows how to talk. He knows how to make girls laugh. He's got the balls to approach. I mean, the guy was an instructor for ABCs of Attraction, which is an American Asian-only pickup company, right? He was a JC Tran coach. Like the guy's, he knows what he's doing, right? So to me, when I hear stories like, "Oh, it's because you're white," it's like, dude, are you fucking dumb? Are you stupid? Like, no, it's not because I'm white. It's because I have had enough experience talking to girls and going through the process of meeting a girl, getting her number, texting her, knowing what to text her, knowing how often to text her, or, you know, how to ask for the meetup. And like I've done that literally thousands of times. You know, I think I've slept with a little over 250 girls at this point. Now that's not like a brag. That's telling you that I've gone through the process at least 300 times, like at least minimum, but it's more probably like 4 times that. Right? And Loy's very similar. So when people blame it on the race, I just feel like that's just a fucking that's just a super duper duper lame excuse. Okay. It's what the truth is. They don't have that when people blame results on race. I'm speaking about Asian versus white. What they're doing is they're giving you an opinion based on a third person perspective, namely their own eyes. So in their eyes, you know, they watch me on YouTube or they look at a video and they're comparing it to their world. But in their world, you know, they don't interact with girls at the same frequency. They don't go as far with girls as maybe I do or Loy does. So because they feel sad, they need something to blame it on, right? They're like, what can I blame this on that makes me stop feeling like shit? White guy. It's like, let the anxiety just go away so I can not feel bad about this. If right now, let's say you're at a party.
Yeah.
And you're with all your homies and, you know, there's girls and stuff. And then you see a gorgeous girl. She's just your type. She's way out of your league. She's like beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. And then you see some guy like 1 minute behind her who's maybe kind of fat, not the greatest looking guy. And then he holds her hand and he kisses her on the lips and, like, you know, they're together. Every guy in the room is going to be like looking at it, and they're all going to start creating theories about why they're together. Oh, maybe he's rich. Oh, maybe, you know what I mean? They're not. No one's going to say, "Wow, that guy must be really cool." No one's ever going to say that. The instant assumption that people make is that he has something that you don't have, and that is your excuse for why you can stop feeling bad about it. So you go, oh, he must be rich. Must be the money. Oh, I bet he's a drug dealer and she gets free drugs off him. Okay. Yeah, that's why. I can stop feeling bad now. Let me go back to my fucking delusional world. And to me, that's the same thing, but with race. People, they don't see, like, they don't watch one of my videos and go, man, this guy, you know, this guy has a pretty cool life. Like, these girls are pretty cute. Like, what is he doing that I could learn from? I'd like to be inspired so I can improve my life. They don't say that. They go, white guy, race. It's because they want the money. You know, it's like the little cheap scapegoat that you can just like shoot your depression on, like a little lightning rod. You're like, I hate myself. Money. Oh, doesn't feel bad anymore. Oh, it's because of the race. Because accepting the fact that you could improve yourself and get more success in life, that sucks. We don't like saying that. We don't want to see that. You see a super buff guy, you go, fucking, this guy's on steroids. What a loser. You don't go, wow, he's worked really hard. I'd like to work hard. No one says that. You look at someone and you instantly judge them negatively because it's so easy to do that. Now there's that answer. The other answer is there's some place where race does matter. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know that in Korea and Japan, and I've heard China, being a black guy ain't fun. I've heard that, right? I've heard that there's a lot of racism there. I heard that being Indian sucks over there. There's such an obsession with pale skin and the association with pale skin can be connected with like status and richness and all that. So, shoot, I could be completely wrong. Places like Japan and Korea and China. I've never been to China, but I hear this all the time. But places like the Philippines or Thailand or Indonesia, different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, all these places are different. I feel like it's not fair to just kind of clump them all in one box of Asian. But the short answer is like, yeah, race can matter more or less in different places. But what matters the most is your confidence, your humor, how you behave. Are you like when you get a girl's number, are you texting her like 10 times in a row and begging her to meet up? Like, doesn't matter. I don't care what you are. If you do that, you're not going to have. Okay, I'll tell you another. Okay, do you know? Well, you probably wouldn't know these channels, but to give you an opposite story, I used to travel with this guy named Nick. Okay, he actually is rich, like actually is. So we have actual rich guy, white guy. Okay, goes to the gym, has actual abs, right? Whatever. And I traveled with this guy for 3 months. We went to Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Thailand. We went in the course of probably 4 or 5 months together. We were traveling to all those places, okay? And I got laid a lot, and he did not, okay? So what was the reason? He had a lot of approach anxiety, a lot, paralyzing. There was a night one time we were out in Japan. We were there for 1 hour, and he's like, "Look, dude, I gotta go." He goes, "I'm gonna have a breakdown." Like, this is a real story, right? And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Dude, I don't want to talk about it." The next morning we talked about it. He goes, "You understand? Like, I have a lot of approach anxiety, and I was watching you, and I don't know. I started to hate myself. The more I watched you, I got more angry, and it made it harder for me to even talk to girls." You know what I'm saying? Because like I was drinking, and we were fucking around, and I'd talk to some girls, and maybe I'd say, "Nick, what's up?" And like he'd want to come in, but he didn't feel like he deserved it because, he like didn't approach. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing in Korea, I would be like, "Yo, dude, let's go out and do day game," and he just didn't want to. He's like, "Dude, like and we would meet girls on Tinder occasionally. But we did this every country, right? And back then, this is like 2014. I used to do no fap, which is like you don't masturbate.
Yeah.
So I knew exactly how many days it had been since I had sex, right? And I was telling him about it. So he decided to do it too, because I was telling him like, "Yeah, dude, when I get on like day 7, 8, I become a beast. I'm like fucking jumping over taxis and like climbing up trees and shit." So he decided to do it. And I remember like we did this for a while, and he usually wouldn't. He would get to like day 20, whereas usually I would get to day 7 and then break it. I'd get laid, and it was usually around day 6 to 8. I'd always get laid again, because I don't have as much approach anxiety as he does, but he does. So it was like a scientific experiment, like, right? So I traveled with the guy a lot. Now, there was one thing that he was super good at, and that was dancing. So when we go to places where you could dance, he would just it was weird. He would turn into a superhero. He would jump in, fucking be dancing, and girls would be like, "Whoa, this guy's awesome." And instantly, like, he would meet girls through dancing. That was kind of his only thing that he could do it, right? But the point is, people always talk about, oh, rich, you got to be rich, got to be a white guy, you got to have abs, all this shit. It's like, dude, no, you don't, you fucking idiot. Like, I know, because again, I'm sitting next to again, it's like a science experiment, like a social experiment. Like, yo, let's take 2 guys who have unlimited free time, because he has an online business and I had no job. And we would go out all the time, and we would meet girls like whatever. Like, we would be exactly the same places. We'd be, okay, go to the club, poop, go here, poop. We'd be next to each other because we're traveling together. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I mean, it's like, how insulting is that to say like, oh, you just have to have abs and be a white guy and all this. But like, dude, no, you don't. Like, because here you had me, zero income. Okay. And because I quit my job back in the day, I had $0 a month. Okay. and I'm skinny fat. When I sit down, I look like an old man. I'm a skinny. I look like a marshmallow with hair. Like I'm disgusting. You know what I mean? Like when I stand up, I look okay, but when I sit down, like it's gross, dude. It's fucking gross, right? You know, I'm going bald. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things I could point to, right? And here I am next to Nick, fucking chiseled man, 30,000-40,000 a fucking month, right? He's got his like badass laptop and his nice watch and like, you know, all the stupid shit. But it's like, okay, what's the difference? You know, the difference is me, my attitudes, my beliefs, my anxiety levels, my experience, and his was just different, right? So it's just cheap, man. It's cheap. It's a cheap excuse that people who don't want to work point to so they could justify not working. It's like, oh, it's just because of this. If I had that, I would get the same result. No, you wouldn't. You're just saying that because you see something that you're not having, and it makes you really jealous and sad. And emotionally, as human beings, we don't like to feel bad emotions, so we create stories in our head to justify our emotions, you know, going a certain way. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening. Why do I say this? Because I know myself. I know how I was when I was a big chubby dude in fucking with my chubby white girlfriend, and I didn't do shit. And I would watch videos. I would judge the hell out of people. And you know, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like what does a fat girl do when she sees like pretty girls with cute clothes walk in? Oh, look at those sluts, fucking nasty. You know, like you can easily imagine that, right? We all know like there's a group of girls and there's like the big fat one that she always is like rude and like doesn't want her friends to have as much fun as, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why? It's because she is in a place of negativity and she needs devices to help her, you know, to maintain, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're a big fat chick and, you know, you don't like yourself and you're shy about your body because it's fat, and you see a nice body walk in, girl wearing real cute clothes, little belly shirt, dude, they will. Why do you think feminists are all ugly? I mean, this is not even a joke. Like seriously, like find me a really attractive feminist that's like nice body and dresses well. Like you just here's another example. Honestly, I could talk about this forever. You know, my buddy Shivank, the Indian guy, he did struggle more than us. However, his game was a lot worse than ours. But he got a lot of dates. He met a lot of girls. I'm not saying, look, these things matter, right? They matter in some, like, you know, I can't say that being 60 is, you know, 60 years old versus 30 years old, like that matters, right?
Yeah.
But this is my whole philosophy. When you're playing poker, you know, you might get dealt, you know, double kings, pocket kings, you know, or you might get dealt, you know, 5-6, whatever. But like, you know, pointing out that your hand isn't as good as someone else's, it's like, okay, we can all acknowledge that that's the case, but it's like, what's the course of action? Should the course of action be like, oh, I have this hand that sucks, I'm just gonna write a blog about why it sucks, or be like, you know what, I got this hand, but what's the best I could do with it? What's the best I could do with it? Let me study what other guys who had 5-6 did. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys on YouTube who their whole channel revolves around the fact that they're ugly. Like there's this guy named Tom Torero. This guy's got a busted up nose. He looks like if you took a potato, painted it white, and put like a limp penis on his face as a nose. Like the guy's hideous, right? But you look at his videos, got some cute girls in there, right? Then you have like Justin Wayne, black guy. Justin Wayne is a chubby black dude, runs around. You know what I mean? So to me, if I was a black guy, right, and I was maybe like my mind was spinning about race and wondering, it's like, well, okay, is finding reasons to like is finding reasons why I might have a harder time gonna help me? I don't know. I mean, maybe you should look at people who have gotten success despite their alleged disadvantage learn from them. You know, like there is such a thing as like black guy game. Like, okay, acknowledge the fact that some people might stereotype you, and then, you know, how do you get around that? Like Shivank, right? He's an Indian guy. And I remember telling Shivank, I'm like, yo, dude, I've had a lot of conversations. A lot of girls don't like Indian guys. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. You can say, that sucks, or you can say, let's try to get around this. So I told him, I go, let me tell you what I would do if I was an Indian guy. There's two things that girls always make fun of you guys about. He's like, what? I go, you guys smell like crap, and you guys have weird accents. That's the thing. And he's like, yeah, and we're talking. We're friends, so we're just talking. I'm like, so you know what you should do, dude? You should have fucking deodorant in both your pockets, bro. You should be overcoming that smell shit. You should fucking brush your teeth hardcore, take good a shower. And so I have this photo. I have him holding 2 deodorants, right? And because, I wanted to help the guy out as much as I could. He's a good friend of mine. So I told him, I'm like, yo, dude, you need to be very aware that you might smell bad. Now, I'm with you. You don't smell bad right now, but that's a stereotype. So if you could offset it by smelling like amazing. I go, another thing is the accent. Now, he had a little bit of accent. I go, but you should make that into a joke. So, like, you approach a girl, be like, oh, hey, what's up? And then say something like, hey, I know I'm Indian, but I'm not one of those, like, what are you doing, Indians? Like, make jokes about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell the girl, acknowledge that it might be stereotyping you right now. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and he did that, and it was funny. And, like, I remember being with him. I remember we were playing like ping pong, and he had a girl, I had a girl, and my buddy Chris had a girl, and he was making Indian jokes like crazy. And he was like, he talks like this, like, hey man, what are you doing? Right? But he would exaggerate it. He would be like, you are a very beautiful lady. I will give you many rupees. I will shower, like he'd be making these jokes and we'd all be laughing. And it's like, that's him embracing the disadvantage and turning it into humor. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so then that way the girl feels like, yeah, he's Indian, but he's fucking funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Indian, but he doesn't smell bad. He always smells great. Mm-hmm. And again, like, even me saying this, it sounds kind of weird and kind of racial, but that's an example of taking something that might be in a disadvantage and kind of fucking with it. You kind of flip it, like let's say you're a guy with one eye. So you got one, and you have a patch. What would be the best thing for you to do is to have the best pirate jokes ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have approach girls and just instantly start making jokes about that. Like, because the girl's gonna see it and she's gonna want to ask about it. She doesn't want to be rude. This guy's got a patch. Has he got one eye? What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he could say like, yeah, I saw you. Like with this eye. Like, I don't know. You could play with it. You could have fun with it. But the point is, you highlight, you turn your disadvantages into highlights. And look, all I'm saying is that you can focus on some alleged disadvantage and like dwell over it and fucking like prove it, or you could say, okay, cool, all right, I got this. Let's try to figure out how to mess with it. Let's how can I get creative?
I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I have a couple more questions, but I want to switch gears because one of the things that I did notice about your work is that it's received a lot of press, and it hasn't always been positive, particularly in Asia. So I was wondering, like, why do you think that there is so much, I guess, animosity towards your work? I mean, another example being that there was a guy in China that stopped you. There was a video that I saw that video. Like, yeah. Why do you think that there's so much animosity, particularly from the Asian community, about what you do?
So before I answer that, I want to point out that there's other YouTube people who do similar or worse things than me and never get press. So my buddy Squatting Casanova, he's a Chinese guy. Mm-hmm. You can look him up. He does videos just like mine. He does more vloggy stuff, but one of his videos is the first 3 seconds is a blurred out naked girl having sex with him, like riding his dick. Like you can see her bouncing, and you hear like right? Mm. That's the first like 3 seconds, and then it cuts and it goes to like the regular video. This guy doesn't make the news. There ain't no negative press about this guy. Okay, he's got a zillion videos like this. He has videos where he puts hidden cameras in his shirt and goes into brothels. Like, hello, right? He doesn't get shit. He doesn't get nothing. Okay?
Mm.
So me, I go to Taiwan, and I have like 3 videos in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is my buddy Alex talks to a schoolgirl, and she ends up having a bunch of schoolgirls, and we're talking to them. The other one is I see a girl with a blue shirt, and I say she's cute. Like, it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I get on the news. Boom. They blow it up. They blow it up hardcore. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They say I film sex tapes. They say I have AIDS. They say I pay hookers. Like they just say all this stuff with no proof. They just say it. But then we have Squatting Casanova. You don't even have to theorize if he has filmed sex secretly, because he has it on the goddamn channel.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? Asian guy versus me. This is where... Now, earlier you talked to me about race and relating with girls. But when you talk about race in terms of how countries perceive foreigners, that's when it really gets interesting. Because the reason that I'm blown up is because in many parts of Asia, there is a societal narrative. There is a cultural belief that foreign influence is bad for the country. Japan has this. Korea has this. Korea they are addicted to stories that make foreigners look like rapists, disease-ridden animals, sexual predators, disrespectful. They love it because it reaffirms their xenophobic, their ethnocentric national political beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my videos, the reason that they love talking about me so much is because I fit into the narrative in their head. They're like, oh shit, white guy comes to Korea and tries to pick up girls. Whoa, this is a story, guys. Boom, let's put it on the fucking news. And then what they do is they just lie. They'll just say, so there's this foreigner, he goes around and secretly films Korean girls, and there's always sexual scenes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you watch the news, have you seen the news clips of me?
I saw one in Korean, but I don't know Korean, so yeah.
Well, I've had them translated. They all say the same thing, by the way. They're all exactly the same. They basically say, white foreigner, Western foreigner, runs around picking up girls. He's filming it, and some say he might be filming sex tapes and selling it on the internet. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They'll just say this. Like, there's no proof. They just say it. And it's such a good story that the truth doesn't matter. The story matters because it confirms the narrative. It's the same thing like in the U.S. Anytime a white cop does anything bad to a black guy, the details of the case are never really focused on. It's just white cop does bad thing to black guy. That's the narrative, is that racism and the cops and all that. Now, I'm not denying that there's examples of that. That's true. But anytime that happens, boom, the news just blows it up off the charts because there's a narrative and people seem to want to watch that. People seem to be interested in that story. So, I don't want to get too political or anything, but there's also stories like, let's say, what's another example of like, illegal immigrant commits crime, right? That's always a big story too, because so many people in the West are annoyed with illegal immigration. So, or like terrorism and Muslims. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime there's a story that kind of confirms a country's like their narrative or their belief system or their attitudes, it's always a great story because then people want to watch so they can get proven right. They want to watch proof that they're correct. So in a xenophobic, racist, a place where there's a lot of racist attitudes against, when I say racist, what I should say is nationalistic. You know what I mean? So like Koreans are the best.
Yeah.
That's Koreans. Like you talk to Koreans, if you want to offend a Korean person, say that they look Chinese and watch how they react. They're never like, I don't look Chinese, you're crazy. They're like, what? Oh, like they're offended. And how do I know this? Because I've dated a lot of Korean girls. They're fucking disgusted. Like it's like saying like you look like you look like feces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of xenophobia. There's a lot of
phobia.
What's it called?
Xenophobia.
There's not xena. There's a lot of not xenophobia. There's a lot of ethnocentrism.
Oh.
So the reason that I'm put on the news basically is that I'm a white guy who tries to get laid with Asian chicks, and countries have a lot of beliefs about white guys doing that and being bad guys and being these like lying predators. And partly when I realized this, I kind of made my channel I tweaked my channel to make me look more like a predator, because I know that every time I do this, I get the news, and every time I get the news, I make tons of money. You know, it's not you can't say Chinese man makes videos about how to meet girls, because that's not a bad story. That's a good story. That's like, yeah, woo, we are awesome.
Yeah.
Chinese guys are badass. You know what I mean? Because I mean that's just like, you know, like it's the same thing. Like what if in the United States there was some like a Muslim guy who was like super dressed in Muslim stuff, had a big ass beard, and he made these videos where he would go to like white girl churches and like pick up on them, like, hey, what's up, girl? You know, like, oh, you're a little Christian girl? Oh, that's sexy. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that. Now imagine a white guy doing that, just like a white guy with like a polo shirt doing the same thing. If you did that in the United States, the Muslim guy, he would get a lot of like attention, because people are be like, what the fuck? Some nasty Muslim with a big ass beard trying to creep on the white chicks, right? Because it plays into the anxieties of people.
Yeah.
But if the white guy did it, no one would care. They'd be like, oh, that's just a guy trying to meet girls. Mm-hmm. So it's like, the story isn't there's a random guy who likes to talk to girls and film it. It's foreigner predator exploiting women and secretly filming them fucking him and selling it for profit. That's the story. But only like a quarter of that is even true. It's like white guy talking to girls and films it on a GoPro. It's like that's the truth. But they extrapolate it into this grandiose, sex tape predator. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Did the girls that you record consent to what you're doing, knowing that they're going to be put up on YouTube if they're like half naked? And do you feel like what you're doing is respectful of Asian women, you know, knowing that like you're kind of putting them in a position where they're half naked on camera in a bed?
Well, I would challenge you to find how many videos that even happens half naked on a bed. But what I would say is, most of my content is where I'm filming openly, whether I'm holding the camera like this or it's on my chest. And some don't know. I don't get consent all the time. But there is a big, 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 nice, beautiful, sexy footnote, which is I usually block the videos from being visible in whatever country they're from. So what that means is, if I approach a girl in Thailand and I upload it, I'll block the video from being visible in Thailand. Does that make sense? Yeah. So even though I'm putting her on YouTube, no one in her country can even see it. So in her world, she's not really on YouTube because no one can see it here. Yeah. Now, I guess if she went to America and she wanted to watch my channel, she could see herself, I guess. But
nobody would know it here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing is, you know, I try to be careful about what I put on there, and yeah, there's definitely examples where, you know, maybe it's not the most ethical thing ever to put this on YouTube. I don't know, but I mean, look, a lot of other people do similar stuff. Now, that's not really a justification. I'm just pointing that out. But what I would say is that if you actually comb through my content, I'd probably say a good 80% or more is actually just me outside in public, where everyone can see, filming a public activity. Usually that's just human beings interacting. There are some videos where, you know, maybe it's in a private setting, but another thing is, if a girl sees it and she asks me to take it down, I just take it down. That's another thing. That's happened a lot. You know, not a lot, maybe like 5 or 6, 7 times. Girls like, hey, I don't want me on YouTube. Oh my god. And I'm like, okay, let's take it off, because I don't need one video. I got a million videos. You know what I mean? But most of the time, if I'm filming, I just say, hey, I like to make videos. I like to show my friends. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
And if they say no, 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 then I don't put it on YouTube. But if they say okay, okay, it's like, and I say, yeah, my subscribers are my friends. You know, it's kind of stupid. But on the flip side, I have girls who know my channel, who watch my channel, and we think of video ideas together. Like my girl Nikki, she watches my channel, and I was like, we should make some videos. And she's like, yeah. So we made this video called Thai Girl versus David Bond. It's like this funny skit. You know, there's times where we went to the water park. I don't know if you ever saw that video. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not that bad. It's, you know, I mean, honestly, like if I would really challenge you to find the videos where it's like really like, you know, and even the videos you could find, if I pulled them up and look at the analytics, I'd probably block them from the country.
Yeah. What do you want to say to the Asian woman who may be offended by your work?
What I would say is that, okay, first of all, the Asian woman that's offended by what I do. What I would say is, first, what do I do that's offensive? Like, you know, okay, meet a lot of girls. Look, I'm an adult meeting other adults who are consensually engaging with each other. So how about you just fuck off? What's your why are you offended? For what? I don't get it. Just like shut up, basically. I would say, because I just get irritated. Like I don't really think I do anything that's worthy of being offended by. I have opinions that are. You could say what would I say to women who are offended by me? Then I could talk to that, because I do say a lot of things that are offensive to women. I say a ton of stuff that's like misogynistic, blatantly. I am a sexist. I do believe men are better than women, and I do believe men can live a better life when they do things like avoid marriage till like they're super old and like fuck bitches, get money. You know what I mean? But most of my, you know, sexist things are more about Western feminism beliefs. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, so like in the West, look, in the West, you know, this is what women do. A lot of women do is they run around with all the power, because the sexual dynamics in the West are really different, right?
Yeah.
They run around with all the power. They crush a ton of nice guys who just want to be there in their life. They run around, they fuck a bunch of bad guys. Then they get old, and they realize that all their power is about to go away because their boobies are going to get saggy and their butt's going to get saggy. So they try to find some dude to marry, and the whole society is making guys feel like they're bad if they don't put a ring on it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I could talk a lot about this. You know, like, what's that Beyonce song? Like, if you like it, put a ring on it. Like, what is that song? That song is shaming guys who aren't putting a ring on it, right? So, well, why should I put a ring on it? For what? So I could have a government back you up when you want to change your mood and fucking ruin my life, and I have to go in front of a judge and like tell you how much my refrigerator's worth so we can divvy up. Like, there's so many things about the marriage system that doesn't benefit guys at all. And the thing is, the sexual dynamic in the West is so tilted towards the women that some men are like, they marry because they feel like, shit, if I don't marry a girl, you know, like, it's too hard to get a girlfriend. It's too hard to meet a girl. Like, you know, if you're a nice average guy, you just want to have a nice girlfriend. And it's like, I know a lot of guys, they struggle with that, and then they get desperate and they end up making really dumb decisions. You know, like, I could this interview could be twice as long if I could tell you the stories of my close friends who have been married and had their life completely changed and destroyed. And I have a friend who married a girl, they had a child. He built his whole life around her and the child. He bought a house. He bought toys and provided and did everything, did all the right things. Never cheat on her, nothing, right? Things went on, you know, she's got married with the guy, right? She starts cheating on him with some hot guy, okay? He finds out, he gets crushed, you know? His whole world is all put upside down. Now, obviously, I could say, like, he's making mistakes too. But then he decides to divorce her. Okay, they start going to divorce, and he said, when we got married, we made promises to each other that if we ever got a divorce, we wouldn't get lawyers involved. We would simply just make all our choices for the kids. And I remember when he was going through this, the guy was fucking crushed because all the promises she made were a lie. She started getting lawyers involved. She started calling child protective services, making up dumb shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, he went skydiving because when he started getting divorced, he was going through a lot of crazy, he was like, his whole world was getting crushed. And you know how we are whenever we go through something weird, we want to go outside and do something different. We kind of want to like, oh God, I need to go hike. I need to go to the beach. People, sometimes they'll buy a car. They'll do something drastic. He bought a sports car. He went skydiving. And all of this is so that his anxiety could he's trying to handle all these crazy things. He gets in a sports car and he hangs out with us and he wants to drift, so he drifts, he gets in a car wreck. And then the girl's like, oh, he's not fit to be a father because he went skydiving and that's reckless, and he got into a car wreck, right? So now he's got child protective services, all of a sudden he's got child support, got the lawyers, and his whole world got so crushed that he had to sell his house and take the money from it just to pay all this dumb shit, and now he's living with his mom, okay? And it's like, it was literally like, within a 60-day period, he went from like a father with a wife and kids and a very beautiful home, perfect life, to living with his mom. I mean, it's insane. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you could point to like good marriages or whatever, but you know what I say? Hey guys, guess what? All you gotta do is just learn a little bit of game with girls, travel around, because these girls in the West, they ain't worth your time, bro. Just get bitches, get money, have fun. Instead of marrying a girl, why don't you marry yourself? Why don't you marry your hobbies? Why don't you marry your friends? Why is always settling down always about a woman? Why can't I settle down with my homies? Why can't I be like, you know what, guys? This is what we should do for the next 2 years. Let's fucking travel the world. Yo, let's do this. We should all get a house, and we'll all share the house, and we'll all play video games all day, and we'll all get laid like crazy, and it will be like this pimp house. Why can't that? Why is that seen as like this childish thing? Why? It's because women in the West look down on it, and the sexual dynamic and power shift, it's in their favor, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when I was 26, I was so nervous about not living with my mom, because I was living with my mom so I could save money. Mm-hmm. And I remember like really debating if I should go home or not, because I was like, girls are gonna judge me because I'm living at home. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, how crazy is that? Like I was literally making choices about my livelihood based on my dating disadvantage of saying that I live at home. Mm-hmm. Right? To me now that's kind of crazy, because I know that there's other parts of the world where that factor isn't enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like dating cultures and women are different all over the world, and so I mean, something that, to me, that's just crazy. Like, I have a buddy he lives in Vegas, and he's literally thinking about going on steroids just so he could have better Tinder photos. And like the level, the extreme measures that guys are willing to go through just to be noticed by women is insane. Yeah. Now, you might say, okay, David, but what about you? You do some insane stuff too. Yeah, I do some insane stuff, but I'm also been enlightened by seeing the other side of the fence, by seeing other things, and I know what amount of work and effort is appropriate for a guy to have like a healthy dating life, and the amount of work and effort that some of us do in the West is just craziness. Yeah. Let's look fly, pay $80 for a cover, and like all these things that people do, it's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, like your question was like, what would I say to Asian women who are offended by me? I would say like, I mean, when you actually like write down on a piece of paper what I even do, like it's not even that offensive. It's like, okay, a guy has a GoPro, he travels around and films himself with a lot of girls, and like, okay, yeah, it's called being an adult. I can do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you know what women aren't offended by me? The girls on date. Why? Because they're having fun and they're laughing and they met a cool guy and I'm making their life better. And we're traveling together, doing awesome stuff. We're having hot sex. And we're not caring about what some fat cunt in the United States says. We don't give a shit about it. Because she's some faraway loser. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's never it's all the types of girls who are the most offended are always the ones who are the least informed. And you know what? I've even had sex with some of these girls that have left hater comments on my channel. There's like 3 that I've done that with. They let, like, there was this one chick. She said, "Get the fuck out of my country." Okay, and she would leave. She said, "You're a bad man. You're a bad man." She'd say these things in the comments. I matched her on Tinder. Right? She messaged me. She's like, "I can't believe I matched you on Tinder." We talked. Most of it was her throwing mud in my face. Yeah. Just like, "Oh, you're such a bad guy. You need to get the hell out of here." Da da da. And I was like, "You know what? We should meet." And she's like, "I'm never gonna meet you. You're disgusting." I was like, "No, really, it'd be funny." And we met. You know, we met, and I kind of calmed her down because the reason she was offended and mad was because she thought things about me that weren't true. She's like, "Yeah, well, I heard that you were filming sex and putting it on the internet." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, and I sat down and I logged into every single one of my websites, and I said, "Let's try to find the sex clip." So I'm like looking around, going through, like, you know, my travel toolkit, the Thailand guide, and I showed her, and she's like, "Really? What the heck?" She's like, "Well, why do people say that?" I go, "I don't know. Most people are offended because they have beliefs that are not even true. They think things that are wrong. They're like, yeah, you're this douche who steals girls, guys, and you're fucking them on video and you're selling." What? No. Like, no. That's literally not true. So, like, you know, if, you know, whatever. I mean, I guess that's what I would say. That's what I would say to the Asian woman who's offended. I would just say, "All right, well, enjoy being offended. Do you got a sister? Because I want to meet her."
Good way to look at it. Finally, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? What do you want to end up doing with this channel? What's your overall goal?
There's only a couple things I want to be true. I want to have good friends. I want to have the freedom to pursue my hobbies and interests. I want to always be learning something. I want to see the world, and I want to meet beautiful girls. Those are the only things I really want. So, you know, have a healthy relationship with my friends and family, and like, you know, that's my goal. How I achieve those things is my change. But short term, sure, I want to grow my channel. I want to keep selling my stuff. Whatever, you know, like the thing is, I would make these videos even if I didn't have a YouTube channel. Because I like to film stuff. I like to do photography. I like to document life. It's fun, you know. I like to film. I bought my mom a computer. Her first computer, she was 62. And I filmed I filmed like 4 hours of me teaching her how to use a computer. You know, why? Why did I do that? Because I want to document that moment. That's special to me. You know, my mom's first computer, right? But I also film me in different countries. I'm going to go to India. I'm going to film the hell out of that. Right? Yeah. I would love to meet an Indian girl in the streets of India. How awesome would that be? How cool would that be? You know, I want to film that moment. So yeah, I mean, so if I'm in Thailand and I see a cute girl, I think it's fun to film it. It's fun. I can show my homies and we can look at it and take a look, you know, whatever. Like I don't do this. It's not like I was like, how do I make money? Let me do this. It was like I was doing it anyway, and then WorldStar just put me on their front page, and all of a sudden I was exposed, and I'm like, okay, fine, fuck it. You guys want to see my shit? Let's do it. But I don't really. I mean, look, everyone's always obsessed with their long-term and short-term goals. Like, well, their long-term goals, like, what do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, my whole thing to that is every time I've tried to answer that question, I have been so wrong that I just stop even trying to do it. You know, if you ask me in 2004 where I would be in 10 years, you understand, in 10 years, we didn't have Snapchat, we didn't have YouTube. You know, we didn't see things like, you know, the news media getting totally obsolete because of the internet. Most people get their news from the internet now. Like, who the fuck buys a newspaper? You know what I'm saying? So the world changes so much. Technology changes. The world changes. I think it's a little naive to be like, think you're going to have the ability to predict what you're going to be doing in a decade or two, because the world changes too fast now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, I'm 30. how old am I? I'm 31. Who knows? I might hit 36, and all of a sudden, the only thing that I haven't done is have a child, and maybe that's my obsession. Maybe I'll do videos like how to find a bitchin' ass wife. I mean, I don't know. That's possible. I know that me personally, like, the types of girls that used to excite me back in the day don't even come close now. It's because I've had a lot of that, you know? So now, right now my thing is huge boobs or super short or crazy color hair or weird, you know, like, novelty is interesting. And there might be a time where I have a total turnaround. Maybe I might even delete my channel. Maybe I'll, like, learn how to do affiliate marketing and selling e-commerce stuff and just delete my whole channel because it's not worth the trouble. I don't know. But the only goals I have is to have the healthy relationships, being able to pursue my interests, have the free time to do what I want. Like, I like the fact that I could spend all day flying a drone and feeding the fish. Like, if I wanted to go, I could go to Koh Chang right now with my drone, buy, like, a bunch of batteries, feed fish all day, fly my drone, and fucking get drunk. Like, if I want to do that, I could do that. And that's special. That's cool. Having time is cool. So whatever enables me to have the most time I can have, I don't care what it is, you know, as long as it's not, like, unethical, and I'll do it.